computer. Okay, so we're ready to go. And let's start sharing screen. So welcome everybody. If you are on the 7-day free trial, then you've got lots of units and obviously the live sessions, 8 hours a day to go through. And then when you join, or if you join, then you've got the Ninja Forex Traders group, which is our main group, and lots of units in there. And then come on to im.center, and I'll come on here just to show you where all our stuff is, to use a technical term, and the Harmonic Scanner, which is the main tool that I use for the strategy that I follow. Now, the strategy that I follow was around a long time before we focused on, consolidated on Be Your Own Bank and 25 to Life. I do teach that, 25 to Life. But because I'd already learnt this strategy, and you only need one strategy, I didn't want to switch to BYOB being my main strategy. So I have got the indicators if you want to ask me anything, but I follow the Harmonic Scanner, which we all switch over to from Vibrata if we can't find a Vibrata trade for some reason. So there is a lot of synergy there. So here's your Vibrata for Be Your Own Bank, this product here. And then here's the Harmonics, which is free with the Platinum package. And I've been through, so I do the 1 hour markups for my strategy, which is this one. So ask me if you want the check sheet. So this, we have to have a pitchfork touch, and then 2 of any of the others: quarter theory, the 1 minute trend line, which is the 62 EMA, which is a rolling line of support and resistance, a 1 minute trend line break and retest, a channel touch, or a fib retracement. And then when we get out, we have 2 flips on the hull, which is our main one to get out, or, you know, we use, well, you just look at the trade where it's stalling on quarter theory or something like that. So I call them Moneyforks. My trend lines are called pitchforks over here. And I work to a minimum of an 80 pip scan, because then I've got 20 pips per leg. Okay, so that's the strategy from Chance and Samantha Gonham. And the reason I'm really focusing on this now for this live session is because he's starting to ask people that have joined his team, which is fine, it's nothing to do with me, I've just learnt the strategy off him, if they can come on my New York session. So I feel it's very important to be very clear about what we do, because there's lots of strategies that you can follow. So I've been through the H1 scans and I've drawn them. I won't go through drawing them today. I've already drawn them, like CAD JPY, which I did send out as a 25 to Life alert, which I've put into our Discord chat group. Okay, so I'm now going to show you on the pairs. This is a trade I've just taken before we rattle through the other pairs. Oh, and there's an alert that's just gone off on USD CAD, which I haven't double marked up. We'll have a quick look at that now before we go through this one I've just taken. Let's see what we like about USD CAD, which is USD Canadian dollar. And remember, we do go through our forexfactory.com for red flag news. I couldn't see anything on there today apart from a JPY, Japanese yen bank holiday. But as long as you've got one pair that's trading, i.e. isn't in the bank holiday, like if you were doing USD, US dollar, Japanese yen, then you're fine to trade it. So here we are, it's just crossing the, I enter on the 1 minute for a precise entry, but it's a hybrid strategy. We do swing trade this. So we're going 10 pips stop loss, unless it's a GBP pair, for 15 pips stop loss because they're volatile. And that's just crossed the purple trend line, pitchfork there. We've had the orange 1 minute trend crossover, and we've had, we haven't had a break and a retest of it. You can see that, I mean, that's just, have we got 3 confirmations is what you've got to ask yourself if you wanted to take this trade. Now, the next stall out level from this pitchfork level is the quarter theory, which is another line of aggressive line of support and resistance, and that is 22 pips. And we're on the 1 minute entry. We are past the hour because you get fake outs in the last 10 minutes of the hour. So you can see here it went down to there and shot up a few pips there. So you get the fake out in the opposite direction. So you've got a reject of quarter theory. We haven't had, yeah, we're getting the break and the retest now, I think. And yes, you've got a break and a retest there. So that is a strong, see, it never really crossed above the 15-minute. So that is actually a sell at the moment. And if I put on a 1-minute trend line, so I put it on from, say, there to there, and you can see it's broken and retested it. And it's breaking and retesting that pitchfork. So you've got about 20 pips. Now, until I set my, I know it sounds like an excuse, I'm sorry, I've got to set up my other screen and do extended screen, and then put my, I want to put my main trading account on my other screen. So I wouldn't be taking this at the moment. I am going to start doing my own live trades on the live sessions with you, because I feel that's only fair, but I only use mostly a live trading account these days, and it is on this same computer that I use. So I just need to, I moved offices, as you know, from the bedroom to this sitting room. Right, let me just change that to a trend line. I put everything in the same color. And then get your long short position. It's a short position. It's just giving you the entry there. 10 pips stop loss you can get away with. Now it covers us on the, let me take that alert off. It covers you on the pitchfork, but not on quarter theory. Ideally, I like my best trades are where I've got these two barriers, the stop price reverting back and taking me out on the stop loss. So there's a trade for you there. And the other thing about these, when I put them on the watch list after the session, is that often they go quite quick because I don't like sitting in trades. So what I always do is I put a blue line across at 1 pip to cover me on the broker spread and commission, clone it, move it to the 10 pips. So if you've got in at 1.40714, that would mean 614 thereabouts. I would have my alert. Sorry, 614, 615. 614. Okay, so I put an alert on there. Now you will have alerts on the paid version of TradingView. It's well worth getting because you can have multiple alerts and you can have your phone. I was actually making a cup of tea for this call and heard the alert go off, and then came over and got in a trade because I wanted to show you what I'd just done before the call. So after it's gone 10 pips, either take your profit. The markets, as we know, have been very volatile, a lot of wicks lately. They will revert to normal at some stage. Economy is sort of opening up, easing up a bit around the world. But sometimes I have been cashing out at 1-to-1, as I did on the trade before the call. But normally I want to get my 20 pips. Now the next level, price will always want to work between levels, is 1.40500, which is that quarter theory. So just a smidgen over your 20 pips. But you want to see what it does after the 10 pips and the 15-minute candle. And you certainly want to put your stop profit in as soon as possible. Oh, sorry, the dogs just decided to bark at the TV. Must be an animal on the advert. And here we are just coming up to the 10 pips. So a nice quick little trade here. It's just stalling out. Let me see where we are on the time. Just coming up to that 15-minute candle. So you want to see what the 15-minute candle is doing on the candle close. And you'll find that is over here, the little countdown timer clock. See, it says 13.52. So that last candle close, I'll put it on there. Now it was a wick up there. But it was it was still a strong sell candle, the last 15-minute one. So we have no reason. What was the 30-minute one? Still a strong one, although you've got a long wick. So that's your that is the highest price that it reached on the sell, and that is the candle open. That's the lowest point it's reaching, but it won't print until the very end of the particular time frame the candle's on. And where it finishes is the candle close, and that tells you what, if you've got a very long wick, then it's obviously like this one here, very, very small doji candle, indecision, very, very long wick. It couldn't fill the orders, and then it decided once it's gone right up for the buy. Okay, so start to read your 15-minute, 30-minute, and particularly the hourly close candle. So let's just come down to the 5-minute. So you can see it's just wicking off on the 5-minute. It's got 2 minutes 35. So sometimes in this market, I've seen it come down to the 10, particularly if I haven't had, a strong rejection off both the pitchfork and the quarter theory together. And I've just taken the money. But the problem with that, if you're doing, because it's all about percentage gain when you're growing your account. Hang on. Finish in a minute. Yes, EuroCAD's just gone off. Is that if you're working on a 1-to-1 ratio, 10 pip stop loss to 10 pip gain, then I've got to work twice as hard in another trade because I'm only doing 1-to-1, okay, instead of 1-to-2. So that's why we work to, we have check sheets on our strategies, and we follow the compounding principle. Okay, so, and the other thing you need to bear in mind is that not all currency pairs are equal. Oh, that's going off as well. So that's because we're at the 10 pips. So now at this point, if I'm still in the trade, I would consider, say I got in at that, I certainly would move my stop loss to that stop profit, minimum of 1 pip. But if I got in at 1.40711, take off 5 pips. So 711, 70. I'd come down 5 pips, and I wouldn't change my stop loss to stop profit at 5 pips, but I'm kind of thinking, depending on what the pair is doing, I'm working my percentage gains. So 5 pips is 1%. If 10% is 2%, to gain 4% at 20 pips. So I'm moving it down and thinking, shall I move my stop profit to the 5 pips? So what would enable me to make that decision? Well, sometimes I trail it just behind that orange line, the 62 EMA, which is the 1-minute trend line, a few pips behind there, or at least behind the previous high. So that would be a bit tight for me to actually say, let's come down to the 1 minute, that I'm going to put it right behind that 5 pips at the moment. It's just on that wick there. So it's quite tight. So, these are decisions that you have to make when you're in a trade. You always want to think to yourself, as soon as you're getting into a trade and you've got the setup, you have to be thinking to yourself, what am I aiming for? A daily goal, the trade goal, what's happened to the previous trades I've been in today? Can I afford to take a bit more of a risk because I've done well? So I don't mind if it swings back to stopping me out at 1 pip, etc., etc. How am I going to get out of this trade? Am I going to aim for the 20? Am I going to aim for the next pitchfork? Can't even see where it is. Oh, maybe was that on the extension? There's the next pitchfork right down there. So that's 100, that's over 100 pips away. So price will move between levels, and is, what am I aiming for on this? What has gone on before? Where are the previous lines of support and resistance? So as I say, I use quarter theory, but looking back on it, I might come out to the hour, not often, because what happens on the 1 minute is going to happen on the hour anyway. And what scan am I working off? This is the Harmonic Scanner. So it's a buy scan, and it hasn't actually reached the medium. So I've actually broken my own rule here, because normally, although I'm not in this trade, normally I'd only take a sell, take a trade in the direction of the scan up to the median point. What's the median point, I hear you ask? That's the midline of the pitchfork, so 40 pips if it's an 80 pip scan. So that's solid line, which is why I have the other ones in dotted lines, because then your brain doesn't get confused when you're looking at the scan. And in fact, I could change that to white. I don't know why I've had it in. I usually have my most recent ones in white. So it didn't quite come up to the median, but it's dropping down. So once it comes to this quarter theory, it may well decide it's going to reject off that. You can see on the hourly that the 62, the 1 minute trend line, has crossed up above the blue. So that says to me it probably, and I mean, you know, never take it trade by trade, never try and predict the charts. It's the quickest way to lose. But that says to me that it might want to then reject off that and start on its merry way, still coming up, which is what this scan with the D point of the 30th of April was telling us. Okay, so if I come down to the 1 minute, we can just see what it's doing on the 1 minute before we move on. See if it's... That's... Sorry, I thought I'd change them all to 5 seconds. I moved them to 10 seconds and then I'm trying to change them all back. It's a bit too much. So you can see how it's rejecting off on that. That's rejecting off the 10 pips. So I'll be out that trade now. I wouldn't try that, but that's me on my 1 minute entries off a 1 hour time frame analysis. But if you want to swing the trade and stay in, then you know that the way to get bigger pips is not to chicken out at the 10 pips and say, okay, it's going to come down to the next level. It's been green sell candles. We're not coming up to 10 minutes before the hourly close. You can see it stalling out. Its next level is that quarter theory. Okay, so if I put the hull on for you, which is the multi-hull, MTFA hull. MTFA stands for multi-time frame analysis, and I only use this for exits. And we leave it on 15 minutes. If you want any of the settings, then tell me. You can see it says 15 minutes. So the band's in the background, what price is doing over the 15-minute time frame, and it's what you call a lagging indicator by about 30%. All indicators lag, I think. So if you see here, it was on green, and then but it was on red. It was on red, but it didn't. The band itself did not turn to red until later. So you've got, and there's that little bit of green there. So there's a slight lag on it. And then that wasn't enough to switch it fully to green because of this strong, if I had two strong reds and I was in a buy in not a sell, I'd be out of that trade. If it's a smallish move like that, two flips of the hull, if I was in the sell, it was two flips to the buy, but they were only short like that, then I wouldn't be out the trade. So the line in the middle is on the 1 minute, the band's at the back of the 15 minutes, okay? So we've got a short little flip to the green, because as we know, it's been stalling out, but the 15-minute band has not yet changed to green. So at this point, and at 10 pips, you've moved your stop loss to stop profit of 1 pip. You're considering whether you're going to take your 5 pips, take it to a 5 pip stop profit, because what you don't want to do, this is our work, it's not a hobby. We want to be, if you want to be a full-time trader like me, my apartments are closed, government closed them, I don't particularly want germy people in and opening them up again. I'd like to just be a full-time trader, to be honest. And you know, you've got to think about where you're going to take your profit, because this is our work. So don't leave pips on the table. But if you want to swing a trade and get bigger pips, then you are going to have to decide what is it doing, what is the chart telling you, and whether you are going to cash out at a certain point, or whether if I'd had cashed out at that 10 pips and said to you, oh, you know, I'm nervous, I'm going to get out of it at 1-to-1, then look at that, I'm just now losing money that I've left on the table. I'll switch the hull off now so you can see it more clearly, because if I'd have cashed out at those 10 pips, then it's already done another nearly 5, so there's 15. So that would have given me 3% if I'm aiming for 4%. So that's how I work a trade, and I do the same thing. I find it great. There's another alert. We ought to look at some more because I've got them all marked up. GCAD, was that GCAD, that one, or GORD? G-CAD. So I think that'll probably come down to the 20. So that's a trade there. This one, Euro Ord, was one that I took just before I came on the call, and it was coming up. I heard the alert making the cup of tea. It was just before the 10 minutes to the hour, but I really liked the setup. So I thought, all right, I'll just come in, but I didn't stay in. I just cashed out at 10 pips because it moved. It did the 10 pips quite quickly, very quickly. So I came out of it, but you can see it's now down the 20. So I had my alert set at quarter theory because I could just about cover. I did change it actually because I was, sorry, I did put it on to 18 because I thought I put the take profit on 20, which I don't always do. I usually do it manually. I set it to 20 because I really like the trade with a strong downward momentum, but I did want to cover my pitchfork as well as the quarter theory, a bit wider than I like. So I did break one of my rules there. I do sometimes break them, not usually by quite that much, except if it was a GBP pair. So I had the alert, which I'm going to take off now. I've taken off the wrong thing. Took off quarter theory by mistake. Oh, it's quite get the edit trend line. Just remove that because we don't want that going off again. And so what did I have here? I had a break and the pitchfork is the green dotted line. I had a break and a retest of the pitchfork and quarter theory together by at least 10 pips. So that was there's two confirmations for me to take that trade. And then I also had the orange, which is the 1 minute trend line, crossing down. So I've got my three confirmations here, but I would not get into that trade until it had, within a reasonable time scale, obviously not, you know, you want it all fairly close together. So that was 3 hours. So let me just look at the speed of that pair, because currency pairs have different speeds. That is an 8. It's quite a fast moving one. So it then came down again, and again another break and a retest, and I can't remember exactly. That's 1407. So I got in here 13:37 my time because I'm on Paris time. So I'd seen all that happen. It came down here, and you know, although it was another break and a retest off quarter theory, there's my 10 pips there, and I'd moved my stop loss to stop profit at 1 pip, and let me remove that, and then I moved it down to 10 pips, and I think it came back there and took me out. Yes, that's right. So I just came down there in a few minutes, and I'd moved because I was coming on the call, I moved my stop profit to 10 pips, and then sure enough, it came back up and took me out. But you can see it only came up, didn't even reject quarter theory right on the pip, because the 62 is acting like a ceiling. It's shoveling it down, absolutely shoveling it down. So it's going down to its next level at the moment, which is 10 pips away at quarter theory. And then the next level away will be down from quarter theory to that pitchfork, another 15 pips if it does carry on down, which is 1.69857 or thereabouts. Okay, so that was just a quick explanation for you as to why I thought I'd grab a few pips before coming on the call. But as for getting into another trade on this, what I do is always go through my charts several hours, 6 to 8 hours beforehand, so that I can give the market time to do its thing, because one of my must-haves is that I have a pitchfork touch. So extend right line. So I'm waiting for it to come down to this level and add an alert on there, and then that will make that noise that nobody can miss. Okay, so that's Euro Ord. Let me just cross that off. Where are we? Right, tick that one off. And so I'm going to leave that one because we've got the alert set. Now you see how that has just just wicked off, and that was it on the half hour, just coming up to the half hour candle, that one, 14.27, so nearly 3 minutes off, just wicking off. So that's your indication you should have got out of that trade or get out here. I wouldn't be staying in that. So if you hadn't got out, didn't catch it exactly on that wick, then you personally, how many pips is that? 2.5, say 3 pips. So you would have got 17 pips. Oh, that did just make the 20 then, did it? Yes, right on that green line. Right on the green line of 20. So it didn't quite make the quarter theory, but that's its rejection off, because you've got to remember it's a $6.6 trillion market. So now it's either coming back to test that pitchfork and give you another opportunity to enter it, or it's coming back up to test that 62, the 1 minute trend. Okay. It does look like it's still coming down as well. So that's USD CAD. I'm going to take that, just let me take that alert off, because I don't want it going off anymore. Right, so let's just whiz through the other pairs for you. So USD CAD. So I'll start at the top, Euro NZD, which is the top on what I was going through, and tick my chart off. There's Euro NZD, pair I'm very fond of. GA went off. We know that. Right, Euro NZD. So you can see I've marked it down here. That's my next pitchfork level. This was, I think this was the scanner entry that I've kept marked up there. Let me see. It's a shark pattern. So if you want to, you can just use the scanner like here. It will give you entries. Can you see here on this buy scan? It says shark. Now, when it's a shark pattern, enter at either the second entry, a shark has 2 entry points, or at TP1, take profit 1 as your guideline. Okay, that's what we are taught, because sharks have a very movable D point and a habit of biting you, as we say. Don't know why, don't ask me why, no idea. But it must be something to do with the Fibonacci ratios, magic numbers, remember, that make up this particular shark pattern. So the shark pattern will have a certain set of fib retracement values, and it'll be something to do with the point, the percentage to which it retraces. Okay, be something to do with that. There's Christopher Terry videos on this sort of thing, the series 400, which is the more advanced series in the academy, in the training. So you can go for the scanner entries. Okay, so this is a sell scan. It's telling us that the shark entry is at, we come down to the 1 minute, 1.80269, and at the moment 1.8. So we're still above the suggested entry, 1.0269, and we are at 1.0992. So it's got about 7 pips to go then, hasn't it? I think. Let's have a look at it. So I'd mark my entry point as being down at where quarter theory and pitchfork is, because that gives me a nice little entry for 2 barriers against taking me out if it reverses on me. So there's plenty of others to look at. Sorry, I've got the wrong 72 pips, I beg your pardon, brain malfunction, not 7 pips, read it wrong. So it's still working its way down. It's come down, rejected very nicely off that pitchfork. The orange has crossed the blue, touched it again to retest it. It's now retested quarter theory. So it's working its way down to the next quarter theory. From there to there, there's your 50 pips. Quarter theory is always 50 pips, okay? So that's up to you if you want to look at that as a trade. You could put your BYOB indicators on, the indicator strategy, to give you an entry. At the moment, it's above the 62 because it's probably going to retest that 15-minute. That's the 1-minute trend. That's this orange line as it would appear on the 15-minute time frame. So it tells me what the 1-minute trend would be doing on the 15-minute. Okay, that's why I've got it on there, but it only works on the 1-minute chart. So that's Euro NZD. I'm just going to tick that off. If I can find it, where have you gone? Up there. And let that load. And USD CAD, I'm going to come out of that one now. We've finished that one. Just so I get worried about the computer slowing down when I've got so many pairs open. So CAD JPY was one that I put up as a 25 to life, and it is a different strategy. You have to wait for it to break the 0 line, the white line, and then come back and get you in on a buy limit, a pending order on that blue line. You can see it chose not to do that and trigger that entry. It's just chosen to shot up to the take profit without coming back to do that. So I mean, that's just one of those things, no harm done if you had set that up as a 25 to life. But we'll have a look at it. We'll have a look at it as an, because it is an entry for a buy. That's the alert on CAD JPY. So I'm going to remove that so we've got less to look at. I will hide the fib settings for the 25 to life because I did send it out, so I like to see what it does later. So what have we got going on here on the 1 minute? Well, we know we're on a buy scan. The orange has crossed the blue, so that's tick for that confirmation. We've now had a break and a retest of the pitchfork by 8 pips. Normally I like 10. And it's trying to break above quarter theory. So what we can do is put a fib on, because I need another confirmation, or I could use a trend line with a 1 minute break and retest, or a channel touch, but I'll put a fib retracement on. So we're looking for a buy. It must be on the wicks, it must be on the end, and you're looking for high, swing low to swing high, because we're looking, that's the wrong fib. Let me just change that, because we're looking for a buy. So it's swing low to swing high. And the 100% therefore at that swing low. So we've got to wait now to see where it's going to come back and reject to. So we're looking for a rejection back. It probably could come back to there where the 15-minute line is. Rejection back to the 61.8 or the 78, excuse me, 0.6 or the 88.6. You're looking for that fib retracement. Fibs are always moving, so that's my latest position. If I wanted to, I could go back there. You can put them anywhere, but sometimes, you know, I find it quite confusing to kind of have the confidence to know where I'm always putting my fibs. But if I put it back there, that's right back there, and then I've got it on that one, but you know, maybe I should have it on that one because that was the previous, that was the swing low to swing high down there. Let's see what that tells us. So that would tell us that it did reject off the 88.6 there, which means it would want to carry on up. If we do it like that, then we're looking for the 0 line as take profit 1. This is how I always mark it up when I use. This is why I do like using fibs, but I try not to use them too much because I end up confusing myself sometimes. And take profit 3 up there at the 61.8, which is both the pitchfork and quarter theory. So at the moment, the 62 still shoveling it up. It's trying to break through up there. Let me just get that text off there. See if I can zoom in for us. So it's rejected several times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. It's just caught in this little wedge here, but it'll have to make its mind up whether it's going to carry on up or whether it can't. It hasn't got the strength to do that, and therefore it's going to drop back down. So that's what you're looking for before you get into a trade using this strategy. There's no entry at the moment until it does something like this, carries on up. Or is it going to reject, do that, and then decide it's coming back down before going back up again? I don't know. But that's CAD JPY. So if it does carry on up and you get a rejection, then your entry is going to be at 76.000. But you want to see it, get back past that again before you get in, and then you'd be looking for your 20 pips. Take that off there. 20 pips from there. If I put a long position on, uh, 76.200, and then you've got the next level up, which is up at 76.480 to 76,500. Okay, 50 pips away. So that's CAD JPY. I might mark that one up to put on the watch list. Have another look at it after the session. So that's CAD JPY. GBP CAD, Great British Pound, Canadian Dollar. You can see I've got my alert down there. There's no trade on that. It's working its way down, but no trade for me until it hits that pitchfork and quarter theory. Okay, down at around 1.74. 600. I'm waiting for that alert to go off down there. Okay, so that's GCAD. NZD CAD, I don't think, did I have a look at that one earlier? This one. Keep an eye on the time. How's everyone doing today? Is anyone in anything or doing anything? So that, I didn't get in this. I had it marked up. Why didn't I get in it? Can't remember, because I wasn't sure it had broken and retested enough, but it's gone well past it. It's gone well past the 20 pips. Let me take that. So that was past the present. That was my fib. You see how many times it rejected off the 61.8? So that's what you're looking for, one of those rejections, one of those retracements. So from there, then it should come down. But that would have been up at that pitchfork. So I was looking at it further down here, because from that fib, that would have been the take profit 1 there, take profit 2 there, where the alert is, and take profit 3 at the quarter theory there. And you can see how it's stalled out, and now it's gone out into the extensions. So I'll just remove that and set it up later. And I'll take this fib off as well, so I can just show you. So it there it rejected off quarter theory perfectly, stalled all the way along the pitchfork, didn't like that at all, came under the 62 EMA, which crossed then down. That then came back up just before the hour, if you look at the timing on that, just before the open of New York, to test the 15-minute, and it broke up above a bit. There's the fake outs just before the open of New York, And then there's a break and a retest and below the 62. So that I was looking at as a trade, but I was a bit nervous about it because it didn't have the quarter theory near it. And it was, what time was that? That was at 1:15 your time. Anyway, I didn't get into it, partly because I was probably thinking about coming up to this session, and I like to kind of sit on my trades manually. But that was quite a nice little markup there. So these extensions act like Bollinger Bands, that price will either break through this 0.84830 level and come out, in which case it's out of this scan. I'll have to look to another one, or it will reject off. But you can see it's in a strong downward momentum at the moment. But if it rejects off, then it's 17 pips back up to quarter theory, but it's coming to the edge of the scan at the moment. So that's NZD CAD. Euro CAD. Did I look at that one? Let me just get rid of that. And then I'm going to go just to, they may have been and gone, but I had GBP USD, GBP AUD, which we've looked at, and AUD NZD, which I quite like the look at the time, but see where we are with them at the moment. So I had my alert there, as you saw. So it came down, so it's been in a strong downward momentum, came down, but didn't like it, and has come back up to test it, but it's still on its way down. That to me is still a sell because of this strong downward momentum of the orange having crossed the blue, to use a technical term. So that has rejected that pitchfork by 14 pips, big rejection off quarter theory. So that, I think, is quite a nice little sell. But remember, we're coming up to the hour, and I don't like getting in trades the last 10 minutes of the hour. And also, please note this. Can you see it's in this wedge? So that's not my favorite place to enter a trade either, because it could just decide it wants to bumble along here between this white dotted line and the orange dotted line. So that would probably discourage me a great deal from bothering to get into a trade with that one. But as you can see, it is still going down. If I put the trend line on, although it's now coming up above, so it's kind of making its mind up because it's coming up above that 62. So does it want to do a break and a retest and come back up to the 15-minute? It could well be thinking of that. Let me just change my color on that for when I come back to it. Okay, so that's Euro CAD, and I just come now to GBP USD. As we're coming up to the last few, I had a couple that I liked the look of earlier. Euro AUD we've done. I'll look at this in GBP AUD, Australian dollar. So this I was looking at because I like the fact I had a pitchfork and quarter theory right down there. It rejected off it in the last, this is London session, yellow, coming into New York, which is blue. That's the PC sessions timer. I like to look at that to see what price is doing on any one pair. So in fact, my alert didn't go off because it rejected it, stalled out, and didn't like it down at this level at all. Came up very nicely, and now it's test the quarter theory and the 15-minute that's coming back down. Let's go out to the hourly and see what that scan looks like. So it's a scan that's right back here. Must have been using an old one. this one, which was quite a big scan from 9th of March. The most recent scans do take precedence, so I probably moved it. Where's that green one? It might have been, it's either where price was or I didn't have one. These are all older. That green one that it's in at the moment, so it's probably the most recent one I had, because those pale green lines are from an even older scan. So you can see on the hourly where it is off that scan it's in at the moment. It's just on the hourly rejected off there, and then on the 15-minute it does look like it's still a downward momentum, with the orange wanting to cross the blue. And in fact, if you look on the 1 minute, it's still below now, and it crossed over last May Day last week, and it's been in a slow, steady slide down. Had a little bit of a pickup to retest the 15-minute blue line, but it's still on its way down. So I've got it marked there to see what it does there. Okay. And I'll just finish with, if we've got time, GBP order I had marked up. If you want me to look at any pairs in particular, I do have them all. I've got quite a lot of them marked up today. I usually do all of them. Where's GBP order? There. Yes, so we had the alert go off earlier on, didn't we? So that was a very nice trade there. Had a rejection off pitchfork and the quarter theory. You could have got away with a very tight stop loss on that one. Next time I'll try. I think what I'll do next time, once I've marked all the pairs up, is I'll that's gone up. You would have got 50 pips there. I'll go straight to what the alerts go off, because I did have a double star against that one. I like the look of that one a lot, because you can do that even though it's a GBP pair. Well, I probably would have put the 15, at least 12 on anyway, just to cover me if I take that alert off. Very nice rejections there. And although it wasn't above the 62, you could have either put, if I put a fib on that, let's have a look, see what that would have told me. Fib retracement, past. Let's try, this is where sometimes I never know quite where to put them. So, you know, is that your previous high, or that one, or that one? I'm going for that one. And you can see it rejected off, but there's the 78.6, and just short of the, well, there it did reject off the 88 there, just at the quarter theory there. But normally that would mean it would want to come up, carry on up to that 1.94272 as your 0% take profit one, which is just about where it'll reach the 15-minute line, if it is going to retest that. But at the moment, it looks like it's coming back down to retest the 62 orange line. Okay. And again, it's now, you know, it's now saying it doesn't like that quarter theory and that pitchfork together. So that's that one. And the last one, because I don't want to hold Sharon up, GBP order NZD. It's quite a slow moving pair, I think, because it's a very similar pair, Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar. There it is. Did I have marked up on that one? It's the last few minutes of the session. Let's have a look. So there's two purple. Those are no, I think this one I didn't have. I had it marked up because I was waiting for it to come back into the extensions. I don't have a scan on this. This has gone the wrong way for me. I had it marked in there in case the extensions pinged it back into this. I've been back through these scans. I don't have a scan. If it's going to sit out there, I don't have anything on this unless it comes back into that scan on that one. And then I'll look at just look at GA again then. And that's just rejected off, coming back down, so nothing on that one. And those were my best ones today. We've looked at CAD JPY. Let me go back to Euro CAD. So that has decided to try and push on up. So it's probably coming back up to here, but no trade on here at the moment until it decides it's, I mean, it's still in a, looks to me like it's still in a downward trend, but it's just trying to break through that quarter theory. But it's got quite a lot of momentum to you know, if it to go in a reversal. The orange has crossed below the blue. So is it going to turn round now? I'll take that one off and put the put a long position on. Probably too far away. I'd have to have, because ideally I like to have 10 pips off the pitchfork and enter at a pitchfork. And ideally my best trade, as I say, is where I have the quarter theory very close together with it as well. So you'd need a bigger, for me, I'd need a bigger stop loss if I was going to do something with that. And put a trend line on here. Okay. So you're waiting to see now, is the 62 going to turn up, and is it going to reject quarter theory at 1.54000? And is it coming back up? But is it just coming up to test this? What does the hull tell us? Look at the 15-minute hull. See if it's still all red. And then I'm going to, it's still all red on the 15-minute. So sometimes I will sit here and just see if that flips to green. And if it solidifies, you know, if I am interested in looking at a trade like that. But I probably myself wouldn't do anything with this one, because I'd be wondering if it's just going to test that line up there at 1.54320 and then come back to carry on down, because we are coming up to the end of the hour. So you know, it looks to me, you know, like it's consolidating now a bit in between this pitchfork and this quarter theory again. And it's got to decide what it wants to do. So there are probably other better trades to take than EuroCAD. So I'll just stop sharing now. Hello everyone. Hello, Helen. And stop recording.